to the program One Nation, where we discuss on national issues. We bring in experts to discuss and provide recommendations to the issues being discussed. Brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, Sokoto. I am Hajara Abubakar. On this week's edition of One Nation, we're going to discuss on World Pneumonia Day. World Pneumonia Day is celebrated annually on every 12th of November, and every year there is a theme. This year is no different. The theme for this year is Stop Pneumonia, Every Breath Counts. With me to discuss on World Pneumonia Day, I have two guests with me. I have Dr. Aminu Abbas. You're welcome to One Nation.
Thank you very much.
And also Dr. Asma Adamu. You're welcome to One Nation. All right, Doctor, as I earlier said, World Pneumonia Day is celebrated on every 12th of November, and every year there's a theme. Please, what is the theme for this year?
Today is an important day for everyone in this world because today is the day that we create awareness for people to know about this debilitating illness that is affecting everyone. Now, every year, there's a day that is set aside for that awareness to be created, and it is called the World Pneumonia Day, and it is celebrated April 12th of November. Now, the theme of this year is Stop Pneumonia, Every Breath Counts. Now, the theme is well chosen so as people to know that pneumonia is there and it needs to be stopped, and to know that breath is extremely important.
All right, let me come to Dr. Asma. What is this pneumonia?
Pneumonia is an infection of the lungs that is caused by small microorganisms. These microorganisms are of different types. They can be viruses. For example, we have measles virus, HIV virus. They can also be from a group of microorganisms called bacteria, which is the most commonest cause of pneumonia in all age groups. Among the example of bacteria that can cause pneumonia includes streptococcal pneumonia, Haemophilus influenza organism. We can have Klebsiella, E. coli, that is Escherichia coli, and the rest. It can also be caused by a group of microorganisms called fungus, such as Candida albicans and the rest. There are other microorganisms that can also cause pneumonia, but the commonest is caused by bacteria. And it's being caused following inhalation of this organism into the airway. When someone that is having the coughs or sneezes and is having the disease or is having common cold, he can expel this organism into the air, and if someone inhales them into his airway, such person can come down with features of pneumonia. Or if someone mistakenly rub his mouth, nose, ear, that is with a hand that is contaminated with this organism, because after inhaling this organism by someone that is infected, they can be present on surfaces. So if someone mistakenly touches the surfaces with his hand, it can contaminate the hand, and if rubbed into the mouth, ears, and nose, from there the microorganism can get entry into the airway and can lodge into the lungs, thereby causing pneumonia.
All right, doctor, now that we know what is pneumonia, how big is the burden of pneumonia?
Pneumonia is a very serious problem worldwide. That is why this day has been chosen to create awareness, and also to get solution to the causes of this problem. Pneumonia kills about 800,000 children under 5 years. It can kill all age group, but it's commoner in the under 5 years old. So it kills about 800,000 children under 5 years in the year 2017. And every 39 seconds, a child in the world die of pneumonia. So it's a very serious problem. And in Nigeria, about 156,000 children under 5 years of age die of pneumonia. And this is equivalent to a local population of a local government. So you can see how serious this problem is. So it's a leading cause of what? Mortality and morbidity, especially in the under 5 year of children. the problem is commoner in the under 5, but more serious in children that are less than 1 month, and also the elderly. But is a common cause of mortality and morbidity in the under 5 years old.
All right, coming to you, Doctor. I mean, what causes pneumonia? How can somebody get that sickness?
I think Dr. Asma'u has elaborated fully on that. Is by microorganisms. They are small germs that we inhale. Pneumonia is a disease of the lungs and airways. These organisms, we take them through our noses most of the time. That's the commonest route that everybody that get the disease get it from. We get it, it goes into the lungs, and then it causes the disease. The organisms are bacteria, viruses, and fungi. The commonest one is bacteria, and the commonest among these bacteria is the pneumococcal pneumonia. There are other ones that can also cause the disease. And we have viruses, rhinoviruses, influenza viruses, and so on and so forth. They can all lead to this particular disease. Now, it is gotten, as I said earlier, by inhalation. When somebody is having it and you are living in the same, in an enclosed environment, and he coughs out, he sneezes, or he talks, and you are able to inhale that organism, you can be able to get that disease. As she said, it is commoner in younger age group, usually 5 years and below, and also elderly people, 60 years, 65 years, they can easily get it. It is also commoner in people that smoke cigarette, people that take a lot of alcohol, and also people that are having background illnesses. That is, I'm talking about among the adult population. People that are having heart diseases, people that are having asthma, people that are having liver disease, people that are having background kidney problems, people that have cancer. All these people, they can easily get these microorganisms within them, and they can easily establish this disease that is called pneumonia. So anybody that is having these background problems has to be very, very extra careful.
Let's go on a short break. Viewers, you're welcome back to One Nation. We have been discussing on World Pneumonia Day, which is celebrated every 12th of November. I have two able guests with me. Dr. Asma'u, how do I know that a child probably has pneumonia?
First and foremost, the child will first have features of as if he's having catarrh. That is, he will start with having fever, running nose, then followed by cough. Then subsequently, the child will start having fast breathing, difficulty in breathing. And in severe cases, the child can have convulsion because the exchange, the lungs is one that filters the air that gets into the body. So when this is not done, that can affect the circulation, and the child can convulse because of that. He can equally convulse because of the high fever, particularly in children. Then there can be poor feeding. Maybe the child may not be able to suckle breast, or may have poor feeding, may not be able to eat the way he usually do. In severe cases, they can have change in color of the lips or the tongue because the air that is being inhaled is not getting into the body properly because the lungs are not infected. So these are some of the few features that a child can present if you have pneumonia. But first and foremost, you have features of upper respiratory tract infection, that is catarrh. Then in a couple of days subsequently, you start having cough, difficulty in breathing, and so on and so forth.
She just explained to us symptoms of when a child presents, we say he has pneumonia. What about in adults?
In adults is a little bit different from children. What usually the commonest symptoms that somebody with pneumonia presents with include: one, they'll have a fever. Most of the time the fever starts and it is there, and you take paracetamol and it doesn't go the way our people usually do. Some people sweat a lot, and there's also headache associated with the fever. Now, the second important symptom of pneumonia include cough. Now, this cough is usually associated with sputum. You cough and you bring out catarrh from that cough that you do. This catarrh is usually yellowish in color, or sometimes it can be greenish, sometimes with some blood, streaks of blood in that sputum. Another important sign or symptom that somebody should alarm somebody that maybe what he's having is pneumonia is chest pain. Whenever somebody coughs, he will get pain on one side of the chest, and that cough, that chest pain is worse with cough, or when somebody inhaled air deeply, that pain becomes worse. Now, another symptom is fast breathing, or you find it difficult to breathe. Normally, everybody, when we're breathing, we don't even take note of when we're breathing. But when you're having pneumonia, you yourself will realize that I'm breathing faster than normal. Or somebody that is with you will observe that, yes, you are breathing faster than normal. Now, other things also include weakness, sometimes joint pain, and so on and so forth. Now, these are some of the things that somebody will see or will feel and know that, yes, most likely I have pneumonia, and you need to do something about it as quickly as possible, because if you don't take action at that point in time, pneumonia can progress. And when it progresses, it can lead to respiratory failure in such a way that you cannot be able to inhale enough oxygen to take care of your needs in your body, and it can even progress to death at that level in time.
Now that we know what pneumonia is, we know the causes. Is pneumonia treatable?
That is one good thing. It's not a good thing about nothing about pneumonia is good, but pneumonia is treatable. And there are drugs that you can use to treat it. The most important thing is, once you realize that you have pneumonia or you have the symptoms that we mentioned earlier, please quickly take yourself and meet qualified personnel. Go to a hospital, meet a qualified personnel that will be able to check you up, run some tests on you, and then find out whether what you are really having is pneumonia or is something else that you are having. Because these symptoms that we mentioned sometimes can be confused with other diseases. So whenever you have them, the most important and the first thing that you are supposed to do is to go to a hospital, meet qualified personnel, they check you up, run some tests, and find out whether you have this particular disease. When it is confirmed that it is really pneumonia that a person is having, it is treatable. There are drugs that can be given, and it will take care of whatever it is. Now, it is very, very important for those particular medications to be given the right way that they are prescribed. If those particular drugs are not taken the right way that they are prescribed, that organism or that pneumonia might not be cured, and it can progress later on after stroke. Because our people, many a times, our experience is that when you are taking drugs and you feel a little bit better, you stop. Now, you need to take them the way they are prescribed for you if you really want the good, those particular drugs to work adequately for you in the right way.
Is pneumonia and its associated death preventable?
Yes, pneumonia is a preventable disease. It is treatable and is curable, because we have seen instances whereby you see patients coming back or mothers coming back Whenever they present to the hospital, they say the pneumonia of their child is back. So once it's an infection, so once the child is given antibiotics, it's going to be treated and it's going to be cured. So the ways by which pneumonia can be prevented, one is by exclusive breastfeeding. Children should have exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life. Then from 6 months of age, breastfeeding is not going to be enough for the child. So there is need to introduce what we call complementary feeding. That is food that contains all the classes of food. And breastfeeding should be continued for up to 2 years of age. When this is done, breastfeeding have a lot of antibodies, anti-infective factors, which prevent the child from coming down with disease, particularly pneumonia. And when a child is given adequate amount of food, he will have good nutrition, he will have good immunity, that will help the body in fighting infection. Then secondly, mothers, and even if it is adult, should immunize, should have vaccination or immunization done. Because among the vaccines that have been given to children, there are those that protect a child from coming down with pneumonia. We have the pneumococcal vaccine, which will prevent the child from having pneumonia from strep pneumonia. And even Haemophilus influenza is also, there's a vaccine in the schedule, that is immunization schedule, that protects the child from coming down with pneumonia. And also there is also a measles vaccine in the vaccines that have been given to children. This protect the child from coming down with measles. We all know that in this environment, most children, after suffering measles, they do come down with pneumonia. So this would prevent that. Then again, among the vaccines that have been being given, even though vitamin A is not a vaccine, it builds the immunity, protect the child from coming down with infection. I would also like to urge parents to practice good personal hygiene. Washing the hands, because we have mentioned earlier that this organism can be contacted when the hands are contaminated. So they should practice hand washing with soap and water from time to time, and also avoid touching the mouth, nose, and the eyes unnecessarily. Then also make sure that they present early to the hospital, because presentation to the hospital is the key. Once you notice a child is having runny nose, is having fever, please present to the doctor, because most mothers cannot recognize when their children are having fast breathing or when they are having difficulty in breathing. So please present early, because if one presents early, the disease can be treated. And if that is done, complications, as my colleague rightly says, will not set in, like heart failure. The child can also have accumulation of pus, because the infection will progress. There will be pus collection in the chest, which will warrant surgery. So all this will be prevented. So these are some of the ways by which pneumonia can be prevented. I would also like to urge mothers to avoid taking children to traditional healers or seeking alternative medicine, that is traditional medication, because in this part of the world, most mothers, when they see a child having fast breathing, the next thing they will say is having a heart. Instead of presenting to the hospital, they will be seeking for traditional medication, and by the time they are presented to the hospital, some of these complications have already set in.
All right, Doctor, over to you. I'm keen to know, is pneumonia associated with the cold weather?
I think this is an important question. Cold weather, a lot of people associate pneumonia, or you will see people saying, when I take cold drinks, or when I eat, or when I stay under air conditioner that is cold, I get pneumonia, and so on and so forth. Now, it is not the cold that really causes the pneumonia. As we said earlier, it's microorganisms, it's germs that we inhale that causes that. Now, what happens usually is, during cold weather, we tend to aggregate or congregate in smaller places. We tend to come together and stay in the same room usually, and we close windows, we close doors, and we try to, so that cold can reduce for us. Now, if somebody is having that pneumonia within you, and he coughs, or he sneezes, or he even talks, all the people that are there, because there's no proper ventilation in that area, can be able to get that. So we tend to think that is because of the cold. Most of the time, it's not because of the cold. Now, another important thing that we need to know is these organisms, they survive more during cold weather. Viruses are better, especially viral infections. Bacterial infections too, they thrive better in cold weather. So by and large, cold drinks do not cause pneumonia, but the organisms that cause it, or our behaviors during cold weather, makes that particular disease to be commoner.
Let me come to you, Dr. Asma. Why is pneumonia common in sub-Saharan Africa?
Pneumonia is commoner in sub-Saharan Africa because of so many factors. There is high level of illiteracy among the populace. So because of this, most people doesn't know that they even have the disease, or they are not even aware of the disease. Then there is also ignorance. Then ignorance, because most ignorance and misconception, as I've already said earlier on, they already believe that whenever an individual is having fast bleeding, they think he's having a disease that has to be treated in the traditional way. So all this prevent early presentation to the hospital and can lead to mortality and morbidity. Then another reason is our hygiene also. The environmental hygiene is poor, as well as personal hygiene. So if there is poor environmental hygiene, poor personal hygiene, the organism tends to thrive well in the environment, and people can easily get the disease, coupled with our behaviors of staying indoors, particularly during the cold weather, and also some habits that we also do, maybe when someone is coughing or sneezing, not covering his mouth, nose, and the rest. Then there is also higher level of what? Poverty. Most people cannot have access to healthcare because of poverty. Even if their children are having the disease, they find it difficult to access healthcare because of the cost of healthcare. Then another reason is what? Malnutrition is very rampant in this environment. And we know that malnutrition is commoner in the under 5, and they are the ones that usually suffer the disease. Then higher level of what? Poor immunization coverage. Because most of our children are not immunized, so that puts them at risk of having the disease. Because pneumonia is a preventable and is also a treatable disease, is a curable disease.
Right, Dr. Aminu, on a quick note, what is your advice to the viewers?
Today is a day that we create awareness for pneumonia. So my advice to viewers is recognize pneumonia early. Once you recognize pneumonia early from the symptoms, rush and go to the hospital. There's treatment for pneumonia. So whenever you see somebody, or you yourself, if it is a child or is an adult, is having symptoms and signs of pneumonia, please take that child or take that adult, or you take yourself to the hospital and get treated. Now, if we do that, we will reduce a lot of the morbidity and mortality that are associated with pneumonia. If you smoke, please stop smoking. If you drink alcohol, please try and stop drinking alcohol, or moderate it if you must be able to take it. Stop staying in an enclosed environment together without adequate ventilation, especially during this cold Hanabatan season. Practice good hygiene. Wash your hands regularly and practice social distancing. With this, I think we'll be able to reduce a lot of the impact that are associated with pneumonia in this environment. Thank you.
Dr. Asma, what's your advice, especially to the women?
The doctor have already said some of the advice. The key is early recognition, then early presentation to the hospital to prevent the complications and even mortality that are associated with pneumonia. They urge all parents to ensure that their children are well nourished, that is having good nutrition, to also immunize their children, and also to practice exclusive breastfeeding, and also to continue breastfeeding for 2 years or even beyond. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming to One Nation and having your time. You really created awareness in the lives of people, because I know this time around a lot of people are negligent. But because of this program, we've created awareness. Dr. Asma, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. We hope next time I will call you on One Nation, you'll be willing to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, viewers, we've heard it all. Be with us on another fresh edition of One Nation. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
We are Nigerians. We are one people.